I'm going a little slower today because I haven't really been talking lately enough and teaching enough, I think, because I don't know who's watching. I don't know if it's super experienced people or new people or what. I don't know. I think instead of cutting into here more, I'm gonna just hit more or less straight down and cut off there and then take one across there. And I'm gonna do that off the leg because if I get the wrong support on here, it'll run. And I don't want this one to run. I'm coming straight down and I'm just holding it a little bit out there. So it wasn't straight down because of the underneath support, but it was close. So now I've raised this enough where I can get some. I braid the heck out of stuff. Bear in mind, I am not teaching you to do things in a manner that is original or ancient or replicative. It just isn't. What I'm doing is scrubbing and bashing, and it works very well, but it does not end up creating anything similar to. Okay, so I'm going to hold tight. I'm going to put support on that ridge and just bop and cut off. Not doing too much there. But a key thing is that there's different ways to skin a cat. Yesterday online, somebody asked how to deal with an issue. They had their edges blowing up. And I said, well, you know, you got to get them stronger, etc. But they were trying to climb a hill too. It was like a turtle situation. I think a relatively new napper. And so I basically said, because of the hill, I said, you know, hey, braid the crap out of it and put it down and support on there and hit it. Well, another napper posted a pretty good explanation with pictures and everything showing, you know, knock it down, raise your edge, and then to deal with it a conventional way as opposed to the way that I mentioned. And the thing about it is, there's more than one way to do this stuff. It'll all work if you do it right. I'm going to put this down on here and try and hit obliquely on that, which is bad practice. If I want to do it right, here's what I would do. But this is a concavity. I go ahead and just hit right here and take a little flake off there to get that out of the way a little more, and then braid it. So I have a little bit more direct approach on this, but I really don't. I'm still going to be hitting obliquely on it, so it'll tend to run here even though I want to run there, but hey, something may happen. That's good enough, okay? It took the rest of that top of that hinge off. It did run over to here and lowered that some. So we've sort of reduced the excess thickness there, although we got little fossils and crap in there. And hey, look, there's the force cone. Dang it. Who did that? That was so ignorant. See the force cones? 1, 2. Probably more than 2 in there. So now I'm going to turn this down, tap that, straight down, and create another little thing. I don't know why I did that. Crummy platform. I mean, I'm hitting the cavity there. Is that a crack? Doesn't feel like it. Okay, we're not going to do too much here. We're just going to go to the middle a little bit. Kind of feather out right in here because of the weirdness of it. And this is way too low to do anything whatsoever with. So we'll braid that up a little bit, and what I'm actually going to try and do is ignore that and hit above it, hit right there. And I'm hitting into damaged area. I'm going to try and cut off some of the damaged area. And it wasn't heavily damaged. I mean, it didn't go super deep, which is why I couldn't take the dang flake. I just did that to smooth and flatten. Because another thing that I think I have shown too much of is following ridges. You know, it's it's fine for reduction if you want to just create a bunch of ridges and hit along them. But it's also fine if you have power and you have good platforms and stuff. Even as you get closer to finishing your work, you can space stuff out, and if you're supporting it right and or leather or whatever and driving it right, you can drive stuff in, you can space stuff further out, drive stuff in, and not be dealing with big ridges and still and get a different kind of look and a different kind of finished product. A lot of it depends on what you're trying to achieve. If all you're trying to achieve is thinness, then and a sharp edge, then do it any way you can. There's different ways. I hit that one down and hinged it on purpose because I'm trying to thin this end a little bit. Can't hit that. I'll hit this edge again. Hinging. What, hinging on purpose? Absolutely. All the time. I want to hit the crap out of this, and this is kind of in the way, so I'm just going to go ahead and knock that off. And I want to really, that's kind of a flat-ended thing. I don't want to hit the flat end. I want to braid this stuff off. I'm going to hit the top end of the flat end. And I grind that twice for luck because this is supposed to be an overshot that feathers out through there because it won't wrap over that little ledge. We shall see. Well, I had enough pressure on it and pushed it down and it went to there, but this is concrete. So I'm getting into the middle in concrete once again. But that concrete looks like it might go all the way through, so. But it's not the worst concrete in the world, so. Concrete comes in different flavors, and some of it is unworkable. Basically, if the concrete is real macrocrystalline, big whatever it is, crap, and if your matrix rock, your host rock, is a lot better tensile strength and a lot weaker, then you can't get a good run at the concrete. You try and get close to it, and if your chert or flint, and it's going to be chert usually if you got a concrete, if your chert is a lot weaker than the concrete, then what tends to happen is your flake runs up to the concrete and dies and hinges out. If the chert is really tough and strong, sometimes you can get up close to the concrete, get a real strong platform, get decent support with leather or something, and hit, and it can't hinge out, and the chert is strong enough to carry the flake with sufficient energy into the concrete to blast through it. Padding, you know, that did that because of that. See how flat it is? It's real flat. Leather can be your best friend. I'm in a weird mood today. Smoothing. I think I'm just gonna cut that off. This flat end is just getting me nowhere. You say, we got a big hump there. Yeah, I know. Believe me, I know. I know what I'm dealing with. I may not deal with it effectively, but I know what I'm dealing with. See, that's the thing. That's the difference between me and some people. When I screw up, I know why. Always. It isn't that I don't screw up, it's just that I know why. It makes it easier to just keep making different mistakes instead of making the same ones all the time. I'm stepping down a bopper size because this doesn't require the big one. Holding on that, I'm just trying to cut off some of this. And it hangs into that concavity, which is fine, which totally anticipated. There's a little concavity here too. Oh, well, there went my platform. Anytime you're working near cortex, and I'm sure I've said this before, but when you're working near cortex, you're dealing with an iffy situation. So if you were planning on making a point that's just under the cortex or something, and you're working up to it, like as not, you're going to have problems. It's that, oh, by the way, I hit downward and wrapped it into that and feathered it right in there. You can't even really see the feather. It feathered so much, all because of the leather. Oh, crap. Still have a little bit of damage in there. But cortex, it tends to crack. Hold it down, hitting it straight down, and it wraps and smoothly feathers. Now, I am creating some convexity there, but I mean, it was there anyway. There was thickness there. I'm blathering too much. I think I'm just going to whack this thing. But I was trying to go slower and explain things better. I've got a whole lot of thickness and mass in here. And what I don't know if you can see this, but what I'm doing is I'm going to try and hit right on that little bump and drive into there using the leather support. I'm going to back up to the bigger one because I want to try and cut on a plane. I'm going up high, I'm trying to cut on a plane through to somewhere like in there. And it went right in there and it lowered that some. So now, see, I'm working up to this. Kind of. And another one in there, not too much. And I'm holding it so it can't torque. I'm trying to keep the weight or the force going like there. That's from damage. Okay, so now I'll just, this is a concavity, so now I'll just bevel these off downward. Let the leather make some feather into there. Raise it up a little bit. I still have a little concavity there, so I can't do anything good cutting off here. But my point isn't going to be this wide all along, so I can lose something. But I'm trying to do things in a sequence that makes sense without turning the edge and getting it shorter, turning the edge and getting it shorter. I'm trying to address whatever side it's on. It's still low. So I'll go ahead and try and get rid of some of this mass before I try and deal with that. Because otherwise I'm unnecessarily, because I got to deal with that eventually anyway, so I'll be losing with the necessary. Okay, so we're going to try and do a semi-hard hit here. Wish me luck. I was careful not to put too much downward pressure there because this would be a good way to get a reverse hinge where you put too much downward pressure and it makes it dive upward and cuts through the piece and cuts it in half right there. And what you can see is I ended up with a relatively flat flake except for the bulb that feathered out into there and flattened that a lot with one hit. So now this concavity and this edge is too low to do any good right along and smoothing that out. So how much time has it been? I think I've got 2 videos here. I could put 2 videos up. So, I mean, this thing's under control. It's I'll tell you what, I'll show you taking this off and then I'll stop on this one. Because I don't want to put up 2-hour videos all the time. The average views of my stuff is like, 5 minutes or something. straight down. I say straight down, it doesn't go straight down because of the support, but the hit is more or less straight down. Okay, so I made my little platform there. There's the problem. Oh, tight back edge support, down on the leather, and cut it off. Okay, be right back, and I'm going to try and hit that Colorado River rock a little bit, and you'll see the difference.